The beast that broke worlds. The sky over Talos Prime split open with fire. Crimson bolts rained from orbit as the Warbeast descended. An obsidian titan wreathed in lightning. Its feet cracked the bedrock, vaporizing sand and soil. It didn't roar. It never needed to. The silence was worse. From the command tower, Captain Lara Voss watched the distant horizon boil. Her jaw tightened as the seismic tremors began again. The sixth wave. It was coming faster now. Closer. ETA? She asked. A young lieutenant beside her stammered. 10 minutes, ma'am. Maybe less. Lara nodded, her cybernetic eye adjusting to the image feed. No drones had survived long enough to track the Warbeast in detail. What they had seen, brief frames of biomechanical limbs, laser flesh tendrils, shifting armored plates, made no sense. It had no eyes, no engine. It moved like a creature, but fought like a war fleet. It tore through Outpost Harkon in under 2 hours, the lieutenant whispered. No survivors. She didn't respond. There were never survivors. The Warbeast was built to end wars. The last creation of the extinct Zarn Collective, it was their final contingency. No one knew what triggered it, only that it awoke, fully sentient, decades after their species died out. And it obeyed its last command like gospel. Eradicate threat. Adapt. Persist. Lara turned from the tower's viewport. Begin evacuation of non-combatants. Priority 1. We buy time or we burn with them. She didn't wait for acknowledgement. Far below the surface, in a forgotten mining tunnel converted into a shelter, the air was thick with silence. Families huddled under dim lamps. Children clung to blankets. There was no screaming anymore, just waiting. In a corner, 6-year-old Milo traced his fingers over the dirt floor. He wasn't crying, wasn't afraid. He hadn't said much in days, not since the dream started. He's just different, whispered one of the caretakers to Dr. Casson, a civilian exoneurologist who volunteered to stay behind. Milo was drawing circles. Concentric ones. Not random doodles, but patterns. Like scans, Casson muttered, crouching near the boy. Radar pulses. Waveforms. The child looked up at her. His eyes were too calm. It's sad, he said quietly. What is, sweetie? The monster. It's really, really sad. Casson blinked. What makes you say that? I can feel it. He didn't elaborate. He didn't have to. Back above, Lara strode into the war room, where 2 generals argued over orbital strikes. Nothing's worked, she snapped. We've thrown plasma, kinetics, nanites, hell, even nukes. It absorbs or dodges all of it. One general slammed a fist on the console. Then we throw more. We can't just roll over. It's not about fighting anymore, Lara said. It's about minimizing how many die when this thing rolls over us. The others quieted. Then the alarms flared red. Proximity alert, 2 kilometers. Lara moved fast. Give me all combat squads in position. We make our stand here. And silently, she added to herself, we die here too. Milo stood at the tunnel entrance now, small hands resting on the rusted bulkhead door. The shaking had grown stronger. Dust trickled from the ceiling. Behind him, Casson approached, breathless. Milo, you shouldn't be here. It's coming. I know, he whispered. Come with me. We have to stay underground until they say it's safe. The child turned slowly to her. It's never been safe. She couldn't answer that. He looked up toward the ceiling. It doesn't want to kill us. It just doesn't know how to stop. Milo, how do you know that? He paused, then said, because I hear it crying. All the time. And outside, the Warbeast neared the gates. Its massive form silhouetted against burning skies, its limbs unfolding into weapons that reshape themselves by the second. Unstoppable. Except maybe not. The monster approaches. The ground trembled like a heartbeat. Slow. Unstoppable. Getting closer. Captain Lara stood at the front perimeter wall of Outpost Viral, staring into the dust-stained horizon. Her powered combat suit hummed softly, status lights blinking amber. One hand rested on the hilt of her plasma blade. The other clenched a data pad, broadcasting telemetry from scouts who were long since vaporized. The Warbeast had crossed 20 kilometers in under an hour. It didn't hurry. It didn't need to. Behind Lara, Squads of infantry in exo-armor crouched behind barricades. Mobile artillery units thrummed with overclocked charge. Drones hovered overhead, nervous eyes watching what human ones couldn't. A voice crackled in her earpiece. "Dr. Casson, Captain, I think we need to talk. It's about the child." "Milo." Lara almost laughed. The enemy was a walking extinction event, and the doc wanted to talk about a boy. Unless he's got antimatter breath, it can wait. "Captain, he knows things. Things he shouldn't. Like the Warbeast. Its behavior. Its pain. And he's been drawing these patterns. Adaptive biocircuitry. Like what we've seen in recovered Zarn tech. But more advanced." That made Lara stop. "Get to the point. I think he's linked to it." Below ground, Milo sat cross-legged in the central chamber of the shelter. Dozens of refugees surrounded him, but none noticed the quiet boy. Not really. He had always blended into the background, never misbehaving, never loud. Almost too perfect. Now his eyes were closed. His fingers moved across the dusty floor, etching spirals into the dirt, intricate, glowing faintly blue. He wasn't using a tool. The patterns appeared under his skin, bleeding into reality like memory. The air buzzed softly. Dr. Casson crouched across from him, watching. "Milo, what are you doing?" she asked gently. "I'm showing it I'm listening," he replied, without opening his eyes. "What do you mean?" He opened his eyes, and she froze. They glowed faintly. Not human, not Zarn, something else. Up top, the Warbeast crossed the outer minefields. They erupted in synchronized detonations, fireballs big enough to level tanks. Lara watched the smoke. Then her jaw tightened. Out of the fire it walked, untouched. The machine beast was massive, at least 50 meters tall now, its limbs armored in writhing organic plating. Fluid metal tendrils waved like antennae, scanning. Its central chassis resembled a rib cage coiled around a glowing core. Weapons shifted shape with every second. Blades became railguns, claws became sonic emitters. It was war incarnate, forged from death and designed for vengeance. And it had no face, no eyes, no weakness. Lara whispered, "Saints help us." The front line opened fire. Plasma bolts, cryo shells, smart rounds, all absorbed, reflected, or simply ignored. The Warbeast didn't even react. In the shelter, Milo stood. Dr. Casson grabbed his shoulder. "Wait, you can't go out there." "I have to." "No, you're a child." "I'm not," Milo said simply. Then, gently, he took her hand off his shoulder. "I don't want to hurt it anymore." "Hurt it?" He turned his gaze toward the ceiling, toward the surface. "It's lonely. It was never supposed to be alone this long. It waited for orders. And now it only has the last one, destroy." Casson's voice broke. "Milo, how do you know this?" "Because it's asking me if it can stop." On the surface, the Warbeast had reached the wall. Lara stood with her squad, eyes on the Titan. She knew what came next. It would tear them apart. It always did. Then it stopped. Mid-step, its foot hovered, then planted gently into the dust. Its tendrils twitched, slowly, searching. Then one pointed toward the earth, toward the shelter. Lara's eyes widened. "No, no." The reinforced hatch at the back of the outpost hissed open, and Milo stepped into the light. He walked calmly across the dirt. His tiny figure looked impossibly small against the backdrop of the behemoth. The Warbeast lowered itself, just slightly. The battlefield fell silent. Soldiers froze. Artillery powered down. The wind held its breath, and Milo stood before it, barefoot, unarmed. They stared at each other. Lara took a step forward, but something, instinct, fear, or faith, held her back. Then Milo opened his mouth. One word, not shouted, just spoken. Simple, gentle, full of meaning. "Stay." The Warbeast shuddered. Tendrils spasmed. Its glow dimmed. Weapons folded into themselves like petals closing at dusk. It knelt. The beast lowered its head until it nearly touched the ground before the child. Silence swallowed the world. Lara dropped her weapon, the word that changed everything. Time stood still. Across the battlefield, soldiers stared at the impossible sight. A child standing unafraid before a machine god, and the god had knelt. No explosions, no shrieking metal, no death, only stillness. Captain Lara's throat was dry. Her hand hovered near her sidearm, though even she knew there'd be no point. Or bullets to a thing that could survive suns. She toggled her comm. General Thorne, you seeing this? I see it, came the reply. We're rerouting satellite scans. Stand by. Do not engage. Lara watched Milo. His tiny hand rested gently against the Warbeast's lowered armor. No fear, no hesitation, just calm. God help me, she muttered, lowering her weapon completely. Inside its core, the Warbeast systems surged with confusion. For centuries, its logic pathways had run flawlessly. Evaluate, target, destroy, adapt. The protocol burned within its code like a sun, unchanging, unyielding. But now, input anomaly. The word the child spoke triggered something ancient. Buried, not command, not override, recognition. Its memory shard, the last remnant of its extinct Zarn creators, resonated with the concept of willful obedience. An old fail-safe, built not from programming, but imprinting. The child had not threatened it. The child had seen it, and asked, stay. No war, no fight, no fear, just the idea that it could remain. It could choose. And for the first time in centuries, the Warbeast did not feel alone. Dr. Cassin scrambled across the ravaged compound, dodging debris and bodies, until she reached Lara's position. Her face was flushed, eyes wide with disbelief. I told you, she said. He's connected to it. Lara didn't look away. What is he? I don't know, but I think he's tuned. His brain. Empathic, maybe psionic. Some genetic trait we've never seen. He felt the Warbeast before it even landed. And now it listens to him. Cassin nodded. More than that. I think he gave it permission to stop fighting. Lara swallowed. You're telling me a child ended a galactic extinction protocol with a word? I'm telling you a child gave it something nothing else ever has. Cassin exhaled. Compassion. Milo stood beneath the Warbeast's head. The armor was warm beneath his palm, like a living thing. The hum had softened. The glow behind its ribs no longer pulsed in combat rhythm. He looked up and smiled. I know you didn't mean to hurt them. The Warbeast didn't respond in words, but a tremor passed through the ground like a sigh. 100 sensors across its surface dimmed, repurposed for observation, not threat. Weapons folded deeper into its shell. The nanite swarm it used to digest enemy tech disintegrated into harmless dust. He sat down at its feet. You can stop now. Just be with me. It stayed. All around them, the soldiers lowered their weapons. Drone pilots called off strikes. Generals barked orders not to fire. From 100 outposts and ships across the system, stunned commanders watched real-time feeds of the Warbeast, the unkillable engine of death, sitting beside a 6-year-old like a loyal pet. Lara called for a ceasefire and stepped cautiously toward the boy. Milo, she said softly, her boots crunching debris. He looked back and waved. It's okay now, he said. It's listening. Lara glanced up at the Warbeast. It was still yes, but still coiled in potential. What's it want? It doesn't know, Milo said. It's never had a choice before. In orbit, a storm of messages erupted across military channels. Confirmed ceasefire. Enemy not hostile. Child asset. Possible key to pacification. Some voices questioned the event. Others demanded containment. A few called it divine. But all knew one truth. The war was over. Because a child had told death itself it didn't need to keep killing. And death had listened. That night, the winds of Talos Prime finally calmed. Lara sat at a makeshift command tent near the outer ring, sipping cold coffee, still armored, still tense. Cassin sat beside her. You think it'll last? Lara asked. Cassin shrugged. No idea. But for now, it's peace. She looked across the field, where Milo lay curled against the base of the Warbeast's foot. Its massive limbs encircled him like a protective barrier. It didn't sleep, but its systems were idle, humming like a lullaby. Lara exhaled slowly. Then we owe that kid everything. What comes after peace? Morning on Talos Prime came gently for the first time in memory. No sirens, No blasts. No craters forming beneath soldiers' feet. Just light, orange gold and slow, as if even the sun was afraid to disturb what had settled overnight. The war beast still knelt in the courtyard of the ruined outpost, silent and unmoving. Its tendrils no longer flared with combat heat. Its armor, once a constantly shifting array of weapons, now lay still like folded wings. A sleeping titan, nestled in the crook of its shadow, Milo sat cross-legged, drawing again in the dust. When Captain Laravas approached, he didn't look up. He was tracing long, slow arcs, fluid, organic lines that curled like waves. "It's dreaming," he said softly. Lara crouched beside him, arms resting on her knees. "Machines don't dream." "This one does," Milo replied, finally looking up. "It didn't used to, but now it can." Lara studied the boy's face, too calm, too ancient for someone his age. Something in his DNA, his mind, or maybe just his heart, had touched a weapon no army could stop. "We've received orders from command," Lara said. "They want to take it." Milo's smile faded. To study it, she hesitated. To contain it, maybe dismantle it. It's still classified as an extinction-level threat. It's not a threat anymore. They don't see it that way. Milo was quiet for a long time. Then he stood, brushed dirt from his pants, and walked up to the warbeast. One of its limbs uncurled like a flower stem, low and slow. He pressed his hand against it. The surface shimmered under his palm. A low hum pulsed outward like a heartbeat. "I'll go with it," he said. Lara's brow furrowed. "What?" "It doesn't need containment. It needs guidance. A friend. You're just a child. I'm the only one it listens to." And deep down, Lara knew he was right. Later that day, a fleet carrier descended into the atmosphere, displacing clouds as it came. Soldiers and scientists in hazard suits approached the warbeast with caution. They expected hostility. There was none. The warbeast turned its massive head slightly, only when Milo waved to the crew. It stood, slow and towering, and followed the boy up the landing ramp like a dog returning home. Dr. Cassin ran to Milo just before he boarded. "You sure about this?" she asked, eyes glassy. He nodded. "It's not done yet. There's more it needs to learn." "About what?" Milo smiled. "About not being afraid." In the months that followed, the war officially ended. No more colonies burned. No more evacuation beacons. No more soldiers vanishing under the weight of an unknowable predator. The war beast, renamed Cairo by Milo, was no longer a myth or a monster. It became a study, a symbol, a question humanity didn't yet know how to answer. A joint research outpost was built in orbit above Talos Prime, where Cairo was housed, not as a prisoner, but as a guest. It spent its days dormant unless Milo was near. And when he visited, it changed literally. The machine's form grew less angular, less threatening. Its tendrils reshaped into wings. Its armor softened. It adapted again, but this time not to kill, to coexist, to understand. Milo became something of a legend. Not just the boy who stopped the war, but the child who taught the galaxy a weapon could unlearn violence. Ambassadors came to see him. Scientists came to study him. But he was never interested in fame or attention. He only cared that Cairo was okay. "It's learning about art," he told Cassin once, during a rare visit back planetside. "I show it music sometimes. It likes sound." Cassin had laughed through her tears. "You're teaching a weapon of mass destruction to appreciate music?" Milo grinned. "It hums when I play piano." Years passed. Milo grew. So did Cairo. But it never forgot the word that changed it. Stay. It stayed, by choice, not programming. Because someone had looked into its core and spoken not with command, but with kindness. And in that single, quiet moment, the war beast, killer of worlds, breaker of armies, learned what its creators never taught it. That peace could be chosen. And that sometimes the strongest force in the universe is the voice of a child who simply refuses to be afraid.